Artists, today we're going to be talking about opening up the clay studio. There's lots of things that you should know, and I'm going to try and tell you a few things that I think are super important. You need your canvas board, and you're going to need your clay. So if I put this out on the table for everyone to use, I'm just going to grab a small piece, and you have to start wedging your clay. So I'm going to take it back, keeping it in a spherical shape, turning it so each side. And the main reason you wedge is to get air pockets out. So you can wedge for a short period of time and making sure that there's not too many cracks in there. When you're ready to start creating, there's a few things that you can do. The first one is the simple pinch pot. Remember to get it in your sphere shape. Take your thumb, push it in the middle to create the well, and then using your C or your baby shark, you're going to go in the bottom and pinch until it's thin enough without creating a hole, and then keeping the thick part up at the top, and then pulling up to create the bowl or the cup shape. Okay, you can also pat it around, getting your fingers in once it's larger, and keep turning. You can add different textures, you can add different tools, but for the sake of time, we're going to call this done. When you're done with your artwork, make sure that you're coming up here to grab a needle tool and then writing your name and your class. So if I'm in 6C, then it's on the bottom. Your artwork, when it's ready to dry, needs to go up on the cookie sheet. And if it's not done, if the timer is going off and we're at the end of class and this is not done, it needs to go in a damp box. So the damp boxes have plaster with your name on it and your class in the box, and then come back to put away all of your tools. Let's say that I was making a cup and now I don't like this anymore. You can smush it back together, go back to wedging to make sure you get all of those pieces out. We're going to go on to a second method of carving. So if I want to carve into this to make, let's say I want to make a car, I'm going to start with a rectangular prism, and then I'm going to grab from our tools a needle tool, or a ribbon tool rather. The ribbon tool allows me to pull off small pieces like a cutting, and then I'm going to use my fingers to pinch and pull out the front of that car. Okay? Because this is so thick, let's say I want to turn it into maybe a pickup truck instead. I'm going to cut off the back for the bed of the truck, leaving the top. Because this is so thick now, I'm going to need to turn it over as well, because we can't have clay that is thicker than your thumb. So right here, especially in the middle, is thicker and wider than my thumb. I'm going to need to turn it over and carve out a small chunk of the bottom to make sure, yep, I have a big air pocket in the front here. Okay, so if I leave that there without pulling that bottom part off, that air pocket will heat up in the kiln when it's getting hot, and then those little air molecules and water molecules will vibrate so much that the front end will just explode off. That's what we used to call it when your artwork explodes in the kiln. So when you have thinned out your clay enough so that it won't explode, and you add all your details, you go back and you smooth out any imperfections, also writing your name, and then putting it up on the tray. Okay? If I don't like that, I'm going to show you another method that you can do. Let's say I want to create a slab or a Christmas ornament or a pendant or something that can hang up that is flat. Okay? We can use the slab roller, but if it's small, all you need to do is take your hand and flatten, flipping, flatten, flipping, or even tossing like a pancake. Okay, I'm going to introduce you some new texture tools that we have this year that are new. We have rollers, making sure that the clay doesn't get stuck in here. We have stampers, again, pushing and rocking back and forth. Do not push all the way through. Okay, and you can create any shape by drawing, or I could use cookie cutters to cut out a shape. Pulling off that edge piece is usually the best way to get it out, and then using it to carefully pop out. A straw is a good tool to use to make a hole for a pendant or a Christmas ornament. so that it can be hung up. Again, always writing your name and your class code on the back if you want to keep it. Any pieces you do not want to keep should go in the bowl again, or in the rest of the clay, because somebody else will use that. If it's getting really dry in there, you are allowed to do a short spray so that the next class can have some rehydrated clay. That's how we keep it nice. When I'm ready to clean, twisting, putting tools back where they came from, or even organizing it better than what it was before. Any canvases need to get put away. Make sure you scrape them if you need to. And that the damp box is closed, or your artwork is put up here to dry. If you're leaving artwork up here to dry, remember it will remain hard forever if it goes in the kiln. So make sure you double check that it's exactly how you want it, that it's smooth, and that your name is on the bottom. Happy clay making!